Ladies and gentlemen, death is not an ending. It is another kind of awakening, a moment when the boundary between life and death dissolves, and consciousness returns to what Tibetan Buddhists call the original light. The Tibetan Book of the Dead, despite its title, is not a book written for the dead. It is a manual for the living, a guide to understanding the truth of our own mind before the final breath arrives. Today we will follow the very first chapter, the first sacred reading, that a Tibetan monk whispers to the departing soul, the moment the last breath leaves the body. This is not a record of death. It is a lamp held up to the fears, shadows, and unresolved questions that still live within us. If you wish to continue this journey of reflection and awakening, I invite you to subscribe. Each episode will guide your inner life, quietly, gently toward a deeper clarity. Day 1 of the Bardo, what the soul experiences the moment after death. In Tibetan Buddhism, the Bardo, the intermediate state, is said to last up to 49 days. But today we focus on the very first day, the Chikai Bardo, the moment when consciousness separates from the body. The moment after death, the soul opens its eyes, but something feels wrong. There is no body, no hands to lift, no voice to call with. And then the realization dawns. I have died. The body lies motionless on the bed. Family members surround it in tears. A wife squeezing the lifeless hand. Children whispering prayers. Calling monks, pastors, priests, anyone who can offer a final blessing. Yet their voices drift like wind from a distant valley. They cannot see the one who is trying desperately to reach them. No matter how loudly the soul cries out, no one hears. This is the beginning of the Bardo, the in-between world, where the living and the deceased occupy the same room, but no longer the same reality. The appearance of the pure light. Then a sudden brilliance fills the space, a pure white radiance, brighter than the sun, yet softer than breath. It does not scorch the eyes. It burns away the darkness in the soul. Within this light, the entire life reappears at once. Childhood laughter, the warmth of parents' hands, years shaken by desire, anger, pride, disappointment, and the regrets that hardened with age. On this first day, the soul begins to lose its name, its identity, its sense of self. The last breath fades, the room grows still. Life stops, but awareness does not. The soul looks down at its former body, still warm, yet empty. The cries of family become distant echoes, and then comes a deep, resonant vibration. Ho! As if the world itself were inhaling. The monk arrives. Footsteps approach. A Tibetan monk enters, wrapped in crimson robes, holding an old, weathered scripture. He lights incense, sits quietly, and begins the first sacred reading. O soul, you have shed the shell of the body and entered the pure light of consciousness. Do not fear. This light is your original mind, your own Buddha nature. The soul hears the words not as language, but as vibration and color. The room washes in deep blue light that pierces straight through the heart of the wandering consciousness. The light grows stronger. Too strong. The soul flinches, turns away. Light fades. Darkness returns. The monk continues. Do not be afraid. This light is not a god outside you. This light is you. Open your inner eyes. Look into the sky within your own mind. But fear rises. Memories blur. Names slip away. Faces dissolve. The soul is no longer sure where home is. The clear light. The first gate of liberation. Then it appears. A single beam of brilliant white light. The primeval light. The clear light. The radiance that embraces all beings. The monk's voice deepens. You have left the cycle of birth and death. Do not turn away. Enter the light. This is the gateway to liberation. But the soul hesitates. Family, identity, unfinished business, attachments. All of them pull at the edges of consciousness, dragging it back toward the world it just left. The soul turns away from the light. It dims, and in its place rises a pale gray mist, the first shadow of ignorance, unawareness, the beginning of misrecognition. The life review within the light. For an instant, everything appears at once. Every joy, every mistake, every wound given and received. The soul sees it all in a single glance, and then a voice speaks from within. This light is your original mind, your Buddha nature, the self you forgot. The soul trembles. The light is too honest. There is nowhere to hide guilt, regret, or the failures of a lifetime. Yet the light is also warm, like a compassion that embraces everything, without judgment. And this moment between turning toward the light or turning away, is where the journey of the bardo truly begins. Dear friends, there comes a moment right after death when the soul stands before a light it has never seen before, and in that moment the newly departed realizes something profound. This light, this is the threshold I have searched for across countless lifetimes. For a brief instant, courage rises. The soul steps toward the radiance. Fear falls away, the burdens of life melt, and the person finally becomes what they truly are. But then, the brilliance grows too intense. It is purity without shadow, truth without disguise, and the soul hesitates. This light, it is too bright. It is not meant for someone like me. With that single thought, the gate of pure illumination begins to fade. The soul turns away, and just like that, the first fall into darkness begins. This is the night of confusion, the first night after death when fear eclipses awakening. The second recitation, the monk knows. The monk sitting beside the body knows what has happened. He senses the soul's recoil from the clear light. So he begins the second reading, the next instruction for the wandering spirit. You now stand in the Chikhai Bardo. This is the moment of death, and also the moment of awakening. If fear rises in your heart, your own mind will turn that fear into shapes of terror. As his voice echoes, the space around the soul begins to tremble. Dark waves roll in, not from outside, but from within. And from that darkness emerge the very things the person carried during life. Old anger taking the shape of knives, jealousy burning with red eyes, desire twisting into grasping hands, regret forming shadowed faces. The soul cries out, "Help me, I'm not ready for this." But no sound reaches the living. The mouth of flesh is gone. Only the silent voice of the heart remains. The monk continues, "Fear not. These forms have no reality. They are shadows created by your own mind. The moment you call them I, the wheel of rebirth begins to turn again. Slowly the soul opens its eyes. The horrors dissolve. Only a faint breeze remains and the dim silhouette of its former body. And then understanding dawns. The self I clung to was never truly mine. It was only a momentary illusion. The soul returns to the living. Now comes the most human part of the journey. The soul drifts back to the place it knew best, the funeral hall. There is its photograph on the altar. Incense thickens the air. People bow, whisper, mourn. But the soul hears something deeper than their prayers. How will the inheritance be divided? Maybe we don't need to mention that old conflict anymore. And anger rises. I am still here. How can you talk about me as if I'm already forgotten? But this is the trap of the bardo. The more the soul clings, to family, to property, to reputation, the heavier its consciousness becomes. Though bodiless, it feels as if sinking into mud. Once again, a distant voice reaches it. Let go. The moment you cling, the gate of the next life closes. But the soul cannot hear. It remains chained to the world it left. It stays not as one who saw the light, but as one who fears it. The night ritual. Meanwhile, the family performs rites. Monks read passages from the Tibetan Book of the Dead. Do not fear the light. It is the doorway to liberation. The soul hears the words, but its heart wavers. My wife is still crying. She will be alone if I leave. This attachment becomes a weight. And then another light appears, soft, golden, warm. But this is not the light of liberation. It is the glow of desire and nostalgia. A voice calls, return. You may be born again. You may rise again in wealth and comfort. The soul trembles. It is tempting, comforting, familiar. But this too is a trap. The lure of samsara. The first day ends two roads. Thus ends the first day of the bardo. Two paths lie before every soul. One, the pure light, the door to liberation. Two, the golden glow, the pull of ignorance and rebirth. The enlightened recognize the pure light as their own true mind and step through it. Most do not. Most turn away, blinded by fear and memory. And so begins 49 days of wandering, the long pilgrimage between death and rebirth, the soul's final monologue. And the soul reflects. I still think about that light. It frightened me, yet something in me longs for it. It revealed my sins, held my love, and exposed the truth of what I was. But I lacked the courage to enter it. Now I drift in darkness. The journey of the bardo has only begun, and I know at its end waits the result of my own deeds. In Tibetan Buddhism, the soul on the first day confronts its true nature. If it recognizes the light, it is freed. If not, consciousness becomes clouded, and the 49-day journey begins. The first day is both the greatest opportunity and the greatest fear a human being will ever face. The monk bows his head one last time. His voice softens into a whisper, a sound that feels as though it's coming from both the living world and somewhere far beyond it. You have now passed through the gate of the first day. Remember this well. Every light inspires fear, yet avoiding that light will cast you again into the path of rebirth. If you truly seek freedom, surrender your mind into the radiance itself. The words fade like incense in the air. The departed soul follows the sound, walking through the threshold between brightness and shadow, not knowing where its steps will lead. At the end of that path, another gate waits, the gate of the second day, where a new voice, a new trial, and a new awakening will unfold. Because death, in this teaching, is not disappearance. It is the beginning of revelation. Dear friends, the Tibetan Book of the Dead reminds us of a truth Western culture often forgets. Death is not the final curtain. It is the moment when consciousness returns to its original luminosity. A passage each of us must one day walk, not with terror, but with clarity. In our next episode, we will follow the soul as it enters the second day, where it encounters the war between tempting lights and deceptive shadows, a battle that mirrors the very struggles of the human mind. If you wish to continue this journey of philosophy and the soul, I invite you to subscribe. Your subscription becomes another lantern, lighting the path through this vast spiritual landscape. Thank you.